Hi everyone, welcome to Over the Top. It's a cinema podcast answering the one question that every movie has. Is it better or worse than Vin Diesel's 2005 seminal masterpiece, The Pacifier? Now,
Hey Connor, what's this podcast called?
What did I say?
Over the Top.
I said Over the Top? Jesus Christ. We were just talking about it before you got on. It's called No Highway Option.
Leave it in.
Yeah, no, I'm keeping it in. It's a podcast called No Highway Option. The rest still applies. Luke already said my name, so I couldn't do my I remember who I am. I'm one of your hosts, Connor.
Next time I'll say a different name. Hey Peter, what's a name?
What? Who are you?
I don't know. So you can still say, I'm Luke.
And I wanted to text you beforehand to be like, should we do an amnesia bit while we're introducing ourselves? But it would have been an even bigger train wreck than what just happened, probably. We have another guest in the studio. It's a good friend of mine from the Disney College program, Nick.
Hi.
How's it going, Nick?
Good. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, our movie this week was picked by our last guest, Chris, and it is the 1987 Gary Marshall comedy Overboard, starring Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. And, it's creepy.
I think, so, yes, it is, for sure. But if you look at it through the lens of, like, reality, I think you have to look at this as, like, the way you would suspend disbelief for something else. Like, you need to look at this and go, I don't know, just like file it away and go, yeah, I know that this is happening. This is a totally weird thing. And then I'm going to put that on a shelf and watch this movie, or else you're not going to be able to get through it.
I mean, I got through it.
I submit for your consideration.
That's an opinion you have?
I mean, I got through it with its Greek subtitles and all, but...
I rented it from Amazon for $3.
That's $3 you'll never get back.
Well, we know how Nick feels about it.
Look, it was a movie. I mean, I don't know. I love Kurt Russell, and it's hard to make me not like Kurt Russell. And I was borderline like, I don't really like him. There's a lot in the movie that didn't make sense. There's one redeemable character, maybe. Not a fan.
Should we get started analyzing it?
Like, there's like a solid hour before Kurt Russell turns around for me.
There's like a solid hour before anything really happens. This movie is way too long. This did not need to be a 2-hour movie.
And the resolution's 10 minutes.
You could have given us an hour 20 and like gone on with our day. I could have caught another episode of Smash before recording this, but no. All right. So let's get started with the very beginning. With another
full minute of
opening
seagulls.
Credits. Another just opening credits with landscape views and synth soundtracks. But this is like synth banjos.
Yeah,
and like
a fat banjo riff that's gonna follow
80s,
you around the whole time.
80s country pop, which was composed by Alan Silvestri. Do you know who that is?
I don't, but the way that you said his name means that I should.
Because it's 1987, this is 2 years after he composed the Back to the Future score.
Got it.
And he also did the main Avengers theme,
which also had a lot of banjo. People forget about that part.
The banjos in the Avengers are just quiet in the background. You have to isolate it in Audacity.
Yeah, that's his signature.
And a promise of greatness with Randy Newman being name dropped in the beginning.
That, I had seen this before and I did not remember anything about Randy Newman. Like, that came up in the credits and I said, what the fuck? And I was waiting for it the whole time, like the whole movie. I was like, is this... For a half second, I thought he was going to be like somebody's friend or something. Like he was going to roll up and...
he was going to pop up out of nowhere. Like his cameo in The Princess and the Frog where he's a firefly.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a very obvious Randy Newman firefly and he's my favorite.
I'd have to rewatch that now.
So we're introduced to Kurt Russell, aka Dean Prophet, The first thing we see him doing is chainsawing because he is a man. He is masculine.
So
He's
do we
got
think that
his.
he's chopping wood, or do we think that he's making a sculpture that we never get to see?
I
Because
think he's just sawing stuff to saw stuff.
A lot of aggression taken out on that wood.
yeah.
He's been hired by Joanna. I forget what's her last name.
Oof.
S. It starts with an S.
Yeah.
Joanna
Yeah. From the
S.
underpants.
From the underpants, her initials.
Right.
Which, like, I don't know anyone who just writes their initials in their That's a movie thing.
That was a
Yeah.
thing, like, way back in the day.
How often do people lose their underwear?
I don't know. Promiscuous people.
Yeah, but like if you're rich, if I lose my underwear and I'm rich enough to
buy
own
more
a
underwear.
yacht,
I mean,
buy another
man,
underwear.
Man, the Bare Naked Ladies guy has a history of losing his shirt.
All right.
It's been.
I
But
guess.
does he write his name in it?
Yeah.
That I don't know.
Maybe he just buys new shirts.
He could write his name in it. I wouldn't
If
be
you're
able to
as
tell by the
cartoonishly
tag.
rich as they want to paint these people as, where
They are
you're
incredibly
buying
rich.
statues and putting them in your boat bedroom.
He's hired by Joanna Staten
Ah.
to reorganize her closet and make like a shoe closet as a carpenter.
Yeah.
And which he ends up making the coolest thing I think I've ever seen in a closet.
The coolest closet that I've ever seen anyone be upset about.
I thought you were going to say the coolest closet in all of cinema, and I was like, what about the Beauty and the Beast one that straight up kills a man? Well, she's a wardrobe, or never mind.
It's cool depending on whether or not you're the guy that's been murdered.
That's true, but he would be upset about it.
Yeah. So he might think that she's less cool.
It's cool that she's alive, though. Anyway,
This is what this is, Nick. It's just a lot of bullshit.
No, I'm here for it. I'll be honest. I glazed over the part when they were going over the closet. So
Yeah,
during the
it's-
flashback scene, I went, "Oh, I guess that was the closet."
there's really nothing that happens in this scene. Like, she's mean to him. She complains about her mouthfeel on her caviar.
She's wearing a costume that I have definitely seen, like, less of a sexy, sparkly version on Sean Connery in a movie that, like, I can't place.
What?
She looks like a submarine captain, but, like, in a one-piece bathing suit that shows all
Oh,
of her
yeah,
butt.
that weird choice.
Yeah, where they
Of, like, the captain's jacket.
and they zoomed in on her butt for like a solid several seconds till we're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, she's hot." Okay, that's
Oh,
her motivation.
There's a tushy there. Got it.
Look, it was listen.
We're also
Goldie Hawn's
introduced
very
to
pretty
her
girl, but
husband.
like weird beat in a movie.
Yeah.
We're also introduced to her husband, Grant, who I'm 100% sure is a serial killer.
So there's every
He is. You
single
can't-
time you see him, it doesn't make any sense. It makes less sense than the last time you saw him. They are.
It's always
in
supposed
this
to be like-
town. They've been
It's supposed to be a funny
traveling.
situation.
They've been traveling.
It's supposed
to
to
like
be a funny
mystery.
situation.
Sorry.
One at a time, guys.
Whenever you cut back to him, it's supposed to be a funny situation, and it always made me feel like scared. I was like, oh, he's about to snap.
Yeah,
'Cause
like
like he's introduced with a huge gun. I'm sorry, and then he keeps pulling out like guns and bow and arrows, and he's insane. He's a serial killer.
He watches
Yeah.
yacht TV shows on his yacht.
yeah.
This one's from the Saudi region. Like, oh well, this guy has one hobby. Two, I guess if you include guns.
Guns and fake bow and arrows. It's not even like he has a real one. It's got the little plunger thing, like he's a little kid.
He poisoned it.
Yeah. Well, now, how do you poison all of the suction cup on a plunger?
He is a weird dude. He figured it out. You watched the same movie I did.
Look, if you're British butler rich, you can figure out how to poison just about anything.
Fair enough. But then it's
Um,
got to be like contact poison. I don't believe that Grant would be able to put poison on that big of a surface without poisoning himself.
I mean, he can wear gloves.
True. There's a lot of things in this movie that don't make a lot of sense. Let's just.
That's true.
I think he can do it.
Yeah, for us to get into the semantics of a thing that didn't really exist is a bit much.
Like, I have a friend who every time we watch the original Avengers, they go, well, how can those giant space thingies breathe in our atmosphere? That doesn't make any sense. Like, oh yeah, that's the one thing in this entire movie that makes no sense.
Joanna hates the closet because it's not made of cedar, it's made of oak. So she refuses to pay Kurt Russell the $600, which is a steal.
Which
Like,
is
that's
why you gotta always sign a contract, boys.
It's true. But like, that's a great price for that cabinet, for that closet.
I mean, it seems like it. Yeah, if it's a good price now, it seems like it would be even better then. Because this is 87.
For inflation, it's about $13.63, which is still that's a good price for that fancy of a closet.
Just in 2 days out of nothing. Yeah.
So Dean chews her out because she's terrible and doesn't want to pay him. She throws his stuff overboard, and then she ends up going overboard.
Wait, I have a question about this. Were any of you or either of you completely confused how she just wound up with amnesia? They don't show her hitting her head. They show her with an ice pack on later, but they just fade to black, and it's like, oh, she has amnesia now. Water makes you forget.
Did only fall into the water. Like, I guess they want us to believe that she washed up and hit a rock, maybe.
I think either like the shock of it or maybe the garbage boat that collected her bonked her.
Now, you know what I would sign up for as a sequel is if instead of the ending we got, when both of and sorry to jump to the end, but if both of them jumped in the water to get each other at the same time and they both got amnesia and wondered where they were as they're swimming to each other.
The kids had to enlist like fake grandparents to get them into it.
It just becomes like this plus the Parent Trap.
Yep, perfect. That's a movie I would watch every day.
Oh, before we get to her amnesia, I wanted to say one of my favorite quotes from it, where a principal goes to visit Kurt Russell's 4 kids, and she comes out covered in toilet paper, and the principal's like, your kids were about to douse me in gasoline.
Yeah.
And Kurt Russell just completely calm says, you know, the twins, they're going through an arson phase. Do you guys remember your arson phase? Every kid goes through an arson phase.
It was the 80s, man. It was a different time. People were writing in their underwear, lighting stuff on fire.
Yeah, so she falls overboard.
And she's yelling audibly enough for Grant to hear her and turn up the TV.
Yeah, he's a serial killer. He was like, oh, well, nature did the job for me, I guess. I don't know.
To be fair, she was a little annoying.
Yeah, but, like, that's still your wife.
Well, he's an 80s bad guy movie guy.
It's true.
You know, he's not acting. To quote Luke, you got to put him on a shelf of reality or something.
Look, it's a big, like, kind of dicey thing. I mean, not obviously more than kind of dicey. We all know where this movie is headed. We all know what happens. It's obviously bad by a real life standard. You have to assume that this takes place in some sort of weird alternate universe.
The alternate universe known as the 1980s. I mean, judging by Over the Top, it was a pretty weird alternate universe.
Fueled by cocaine.
I mean, 1987, it's the same year.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I was surprised there wasn't any arm wrestling in this.
Right now, slightly down the coast, there is an arm wrestling tournament happening.
Oh, I want an Avengers-style team-up between this movie and that movie.
It's like the Expendables of being nice to your children.
Yep. And there's arm wrestling, and Sylvester Stallone thinks he's Kurt Russell.
I'd watch that.
That's interesting.
This has become just me pitching movies that I think would be bad but awesome.
How old was Danny McBride when this movie was made? Anyone know that offhand?
I have no idea.
Let me look it up here.
I gotta say, I've never thought about Danny McBride's age.
He was born in 1976.
So he was 11.
Yeah, like 10, 11.
Not old
10 or
enough to
11.
be Billy in this movie.
No, Billy's well, we can get to that in a second. So now Joanna's in the psych ward and doesn't know her own name, and her husband's just like, "That's not my wife,"
A serious
he's
case of plot amnesia.
because he's awful. The
Yeah.
psych ward has one of my favorite characters that I want to know more about. What's with the dude who eats checkers?
Why do they let him eat checkers?
Yeah,
Because it's
The
not
nurse
like
is- the
he's
nurse
eating
is
checkers
staring
and then
at
people
him.
run. Yeah.
and they just keep letting him eat checkers.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on at that.
But like that guy, I just want to know more about him. I'm gonna call him Paul.
Paul the checker eater.
We meet Dean's friend Billy, who's played by generic brand John Candy.
Is it a
Dean-
John Candy brand?
It's John Candy mixed with movie critic Gene Shalit.
See, to me, I was thinking more of like a discount early '80s John C. Reilly, kind of like the lovable schlub.
Yeah, I think it's something in his voice that sounds very John Candy-ish.
Okay,
Yeah.
He doesn't really look like him. He's just kind of like a fat guy.
Yeah, I thought he could have been way less subdued. I was really
He was
expecting
very
him
chill.
to have a lot more of the comedy.
But so Dean sets out his plan to make this woman his fake wife and work her make
For
her
exactly
do
a month.
chores in his house for a month so she can basically earn the $600 she was supposed to pay him. And everybody goes, "That's not weird."
Yeah, it's on a show.
So now her name is Annie, and she does not think that Dean is her husband. She yells at him. She's like, "You're not real." She references Dog Patch USA,
The,
which made me
yeah.
very excited.
the doctors and the cop, the cop who Kurt Russell shows up to the hospital and is like, "Oh yeah, she's totally my wife." After she's been on this insane news report that is just nothing. Like it's a nothing. You know what it reminds me of in the Princess Diaries when Princess Mia's friend has that cable news show. That's what the news for this whole town reminds me of.
Small
Funny
world.
you should mention the Princess Diaries.
Yeah, I saw him.
Who?
The bodyguard.
Oh, he was in
I
this?
can't remember his name. Yeah, he was the Portuguese fisherman who found her.
Which great character, by the way. But I don't think that Connor. I think Connor and I we're thinking of something different.
Oh,
We'll get to it at the end, but during the criteria.
I'm interested.
Cliffhanger for you guys, the listener.
Yeah, and Dean identifies her to the cop by being like, "Hey, these are her panties," which
Yeah,
actually
the cop
are
pulls
her.
up these underwear, and he's like, well, you're saying her name is Annie. It says JS in here," and he goes, "Oh, well, I bought them at a yard sale." And the cop isn't like, "That's insane. That's on the list of the only things you don't buy at a yard sale." The cop says, "Oh yeah, me too," and then that's it.
The cop's a terrible cop.
Real gross guy.
Then Dean just shows off he's really good at improv because
For a
he
long
gives an
time.
entire super detailed backstory. And it's just like, I would believe him if he came up to me and was like, "Here's every intricate detail of your life." And it's like, all right. Also, it's because he's attractive.
Yeah, I think if the chemistry didn't work as well, I think this movie wouldn't carry itself at all.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah, I think it barely carries it well at all. But you know,
I think a lot of it is on Goldie Hawn. It's if she was like even 1% less combative all the time, then it would not work. If she just showed up and was like, "Okay, well, thanks for getting me from the hospital," this would not be a good movie. But the fact that she is mad about everyone and everything for the entire 2-hour runtime carries something for me.
So next he takes her home and they meet his children. We've got the twins going through their arson phase, Greg and Charlie. They're not identical, or else one would look like a shithead.
You know, like
We've
children
got
talk.
Travis, also known as Sweet Trav,
Or Roy, right?
or
Yeah.
Roy, for like 2 seconds. And my favorite character in the entire film, Little Joe, the boy who lives in the wall and is obsessed with Pee-Wee Herman.
Yeah. It's like showing up to a house with 4 Bam-Bams and 2 giant dogs.
Can I ask a question though? So each one of these kids have like one thing that they do. They don't really have a lot of depth. The one twin is an inventor. The kid from Big. It's Tom Hanks' friend. There's the kid who talks like Pee Wee Herman and can't. Well, he has 2 things. He also can't read. There's the kid who just is in the bathroom all the time with adult magazines.
Oh yeah, Travis is just he's just horny.
So
But what's
it's
the
how to
other
read.
twin do? Is the other twin just there? He doesn't really have
He's-
anything.
He says, Dean quickly says, like, oh, he's the actor of the family, ha ha ha.
Yeah, what
But
does that
then-
mean?
Oh yeah, he gets the Tiny Tim
like
role at
later
the end.
at the like towards the end, it's like, oh, what'd you do today, boys? And he's like, I got the role of Tiny Tim. I'm like, oh, he actually does want to be an actor.
Yeah, it was weird. They each had a thing that showed up throughout the movie, and this kid just, he acts. He needs something to do. They could have been 3 kids, and it would have been the same movie.
It's true, they didn't need twins. I'm guessing Kurt Russell just went, the twins are going through their arson phase, and the casting director went, shit, find us another kid.
They don't have to look alike.
There was supposed to be 3. God damn it.
The original plot of Full House was actually 3 kids and Kurt Russell.
I'd watch Full House as 3 kids and Kurt Russell.
I mean, 3 kids and Kurt Russell, isn't that just horsing around? Except it's a horse.
Is Kurt Russell not a horse?
No, he's a very attractive man.
We don't have proof he's not a horse. He could be a horse.
So he just goes, all right, Annie, make us dinner, and he gives her a whole raw chicken, and she can't cook it.
Not only can she not cook it, she doesn't know how to use the oven without starting a fire.
It's true, she starts a very small fire while all of the men do my favorite thing to do at banquets, where you breathe on the spoon and put it on your nose. I'm very good at the spoon balancing on your nose thing.
Yeah, see, I never got good at it. I tried it a couple of times.
I don't know what happened, but like when I turned like 8, I was a master.
So if they ever remake this movie, you have to be one of the 4 kids.
Yeah, digitally de-age me.
No. Just leave you in. Don't explain how you look so much older than the rest of
It's
the.
like,
You're one of the twins.
Walk around on my knees.
It's like a
that
wet
Gary
hot
Oldman
thing.
movie. It's a wet hot thing.
They're not identical twins. That's why he's so tall.
While there is a small fire, the 2 boys, the twins, find fire extinguishers and spray Goldie Hawn with them. Poorly. They're pulling, aiming, and squeezing, but not sweeping.
Yeah. I was wondering what they were actually filled with. Because actual firefighting, or the actual fire extinguisher chemical, that'll burn your hand if you just unload it.
Oh, would you know anything about that?
I didn't burn my hand.
I'm not bringing this up on the show. It's probably like whipped cream.
Yeah.
Marshmallow fluff. That's too thick. Whipped cream seems right.
Could have been shaving cream.
Probably
That's already
that
pressurized.
makes sense too. So Dean and Billy talk, and Dean is planning to keep her for 1 month, as we already said. There's a very creepy scene where he tries to be like, you're my wife, we're gonna make love now, and I spent the entire time going, no. Thankfully it doesn't happen.
Yeah. See, I was like anticipating that. As soon as we started to go down this trail, I was like, oh man, is that gonna happen? And then we got there, and I was glad to find that they went another route. That it wasn't a joke of like, this is the first time. Like, he told he man stuffed his way through it. Like he was out bowling with the guys, and he was like, "Oh no, I don't think she's for me," which was like
Uh,
him trying to, I don't know, try to brawny paper towel guy his way through saying, "I don't want to assault her."
yeah. Well, it's good he doesn't. She ends up sleeping on the couch while he sleeps in the bed. There's some shenanigans with the dogs and the rain dripping onto the piano, which I thought was inventive, I guess is the word for that.
It was I thought the dream could have used some more budget.
Or could have been cut completely.
Fair. That would have also been a solution to that problem. But it was like a stark white background. It's like they were taking school pictures.
Because she can't remember much.
That's not how you dream. That's all my dreams are just white backgrounds.
White backgrounds and New Year's parties.
Yep, it's weird. It's a personal hell I've been in for about 20 years now.
In the morning, she makes lunches terribly because she can't do anything. Because that's what happens when you have money. You just can't function.
She's making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches like she's on that what was that YouTube channel where they used to just like mash a bunch of shit
How
and
too
throw
basic.
everything in the toilet. Yeah.
And Dean sings a song that's not weird or creepy at all. Did either of you catch this?
Refresh my memory.
Where he goes zippity doo dah,
Oh, yeah.
zippity my oh my, got a wonderful slave.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh
And
man, that's
given the
problematic in a couple ways.
Yeah, given the context of Song in the South, that's bad. Then we go into the banjo.
Maybe that's what Walt Disney was writing down on his deathbed there. The whole
He did
phrase
say
was Kurt Russell sings.
Kurt Russell should make kind of a racist joke in a movie. My dying wish.
Kurt Russell, don't make that movie 20 years from now.
If he had like 2 more seconds, it would have been Kurt Russell plus Song of the South. Yes.
Equals profit. We see a montage of Annie just fucking up everything. She can't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you become an adult? Like, I get you were raised with money. But this is ridiculous, man.
I mean, some of it, not all of it, because like some of the things are just really super basic. But I could understand her not understanding like a washing machine and a chainsaw, which for some reason is involved in her.
The
Like,
chainsaw is kind of understandable, but she never thinks to like turn it off or get rid of it.
I mean, also, it's hard to start a chainsaw, especially if it's the first time in your life. So she can do that part, but then is like, I don't know what I've done with this. Also, there's an axe. There's an axe that she uses to try to fight the washing machine. So why doesn't she use that to split the wood instead of? I'm thinking too much about it.
Yeah, didn't you say to put this reality on a shelf or whatever?
Put Goldie Hawn on a shelf.
That's the go-to for everything in this movie. That just put it on a shelf.
Let's leave it. Make it
Just-
Wheezy in Toy Story 2. Just leave it up there.
Just put it on a shelf. That's the title of the episode.
Fair enough.
She gets a small memory trigger by seeing Kurt Russell in front of his closet, and then Billy doctors some wedding photos because Kurt Russell cockblocks him.
Totally normal looking photos.
Yeah.
Very, very well done 1987, just cut and paste.
And it works. She's like, oh, these are it. This is how I look every day.
Oh, wow, I'm sad all the time, but like, I guess that's me.
Oh, this.
Why was I so sad? Because you were fat.
You got
Yeah.
fat, and then you were thin, and then fat again, and then thin.
The whole backstory is just, there's way too much. It
It all,
works. but
it all somehow works for her.
Can I
'Cause
ask?
he's-
I may have missed it. Did they ever say what happened to Kurt Russell's, like, the kid's mom?
She died
Dead.
3 years ago. He told the principal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, see, I'll be honest. I had to watch this under a deadline, and a lot of the parts I was like, nothing's happening here. I'll skip ahead 5 minutes, save some time. I watched the entire second act, but like it's a couple of the first. I didn't need that. I should have watched when the washing machine comes back into play. Now I understand why. I thought it was just a dumb joke.
Yeah, she does the classic 1980s put too much soap in the washing machine, and then it starts moving towards her, and she swings an axe at it.
The height of comedy.
Yeah.
Then the kids glue plates to her hands, and she becomes Captain Hose and sprays them with a hose.
Not before they eat a chocolate cream pie, just in a circle like a bunch of hyenas eating a gazelle.
4 children and 2 grown adult men sticking their paws in it.
A chocolate cream pie. We get more of the banjo shenanigan music, which I'm choosing to believe that's the track.
Does anybody else think that Billy looks like I mean, obviously Spencer Breslin didn't grow up looking this way, but if you took child adult Breslin and like aged it up through a Facebook filter, he would look like Billy.
Maybe, yeah. I can see that. Let's see. The one kid invents a blanket machine because every 80s movie needs some type of morning machine, whether it's like Back to the Future or Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You gotta have something.
And we all know that this movie loves Pee-wee Herman.
This movie loves Pee-wee Herman. It was my favorite thing about watching it with Greek subtitles was, like, I couldn't understand anything of what it said until the word Pee-wee Herman came up, and that was just in full English. It was like the first time you listen to La Vie Boheme from the Rent soundtrack and you don't know all the words. But then it goes Pee-wee Herman and you go, oh, I know him. It's a niche joke that I thought of while making dinner.
Very specific.
Look, it made me laugh. It'll make like 3 of our listeners maybe laugh.
Look, someone's in their car right now and just go and breathe real heavy through their nose. Just a real satisfied little nose chuckle.
They're going to school.
Yeah,
today.
They're all in one.
Annie's being a good mom. They're going to school. They complain about how, quote, teacher is a big fat tub.
Which, after meeting her, kind of.
Tubbish.
She goes off. They have a parent-teacher conference, and the teacher
even
just
before that, she's losing her mind at the kids. Like, if you concentrate, you can control those little bodies.
Yeah.
And...
weird phrase to say.
Which, like, you could probably get away with that. But then the mom comes in, well, fake mom, Joanna comes in, and the teacher just goes off about how these kids are poorly raised, and it's because their father is a piece of shit. And that can't happen.
That's bad.
It was the 80s. Teachers didn't care back then.
And also, the kids were in trouble for refusing to take standardized tests. I agree. I wouldn't want to take those tests. I hate those tests.
That speech that she gave was pretty cool about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and he gave a cool speech. The kids had poison oak. They gave it to her. This is when it's revealed that Joey can't read and Travis can't stop jacking off, and the twins are fine. They just like to burn things, which never comes back into play.
Is that also around the same point where Travis says, and I quote, she doesn't have any boobs, but she's got a great ass about his fake mom, and she hears it and says, wait, what'd he say? And then it just cuts away, like that's a joke, like ha ha ha.
I think that's a little later, but it's close, yeah.
Okay, well, when the part comes up, I'll reenact.
That does happen. It happens at the birthday.
See, so all this movie's the same to me. There's no change in days.
They say something about when they talk about how Joey can't read and Travis only knows how to read porn. I would submit that would put Travis at a much higher reading level than the rest of them.
I guess.
It's a colorful vocabulary, to say the least.
He doesn't read it for the articles, though.
He'll spell some words very incorrectly, though.
He knows how to spell titty.
There's a point where Kurt Russell comes back from a night out where he's gotten in a fight with Annie because she tells him that, like, basically he needs to stop being such a piece of shit and deal with his kids. And he's like, hey, you don't have any right to that. she's like, "Hey, they're my kids. What are you talking about?" And then he leaves to go fake bowling. But then he comes back, and his like moment of, "Oh man, I was a dick," was that she had filled the fridge up with beer. But
Well,
if you
and
look,
she cleaned off the tons of ice around the freezer, didn't she?
yeah, yeah. But what I couldn't stop looking at was when they opened the door of the fridge, there were there was a dozen eggs loose on a shelf,
That's it.
which I guess like they have chickens, so they have their own eggs, but that's the door, man.
They put it on a shelf.
Yeah,
Put it on the shelf.
you don't
Yeah,
even put them on like the inside. The door
it's
is
the.
swinging open and closed. You got just eggs. That's a disaster. That's a
I mean,
catastrophe waiting to happen.
have you seen anything that happens in this house? It is a house of chaos.
You paid a lot more attention to this movie than I did. You noticed where the eggs were in the refrigerator in a scene where they're.
It's because
To be fair, this isn't his first time
I
watching it.
I paused it and shouted out loud when I saw the eggs. I was just so taken aback by the idea.
Um, so Dean's like, all right, it's time for me to tell her the truth about her memory because she found out that I've been working at the fertilizer plant to pay the bills to hopefully get my mini golf course up and running. Also, that's a necessary side plot. He wants to design a mini golf course.
It doesn't make any sense. It's
There's-
barely touched upon.
The course that comes out of it though is pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I like that Wonders of the World course. They got the big mouth flapping Abraham Lincoln.
And the mini golf thing is throughout. Like right from the beginning, the
It
first
is,
time
but
you're
it's
introduced
so
to him and Billy,
unnecessary.
it's wild.
Like,
it's like
that's,
it's like
if that
a 9-year-old me thought of like an adult dream. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd have a bunch of kids and we'd have some dogs and what do I do for a living? I have a mini golf course in my backyard.
I lie to women and I build a golf.
No, that part's on a child shelf.
And so Joey gives Annie a macaroni necklace because he's the best character in this film. And they go to the bar, and Kurt Russell is like, Annie, you are 29 years old. It is your birthday. Let's dance to tequila. Which made me excited. And
That
then
also could have not worked. Like, it's really good that when she was like, how old am I? And he went, you're 29. She went, oh, that's a charming joke you just told. Instead of, you don't know my fucking birthday. We have 4 kids.
and you don't know my birthday. Well, she don't know her birthday, though.
Yeah, but she has an excuse.
the whole movie is very weird. I'm just gonna throw that out there. There's a lot of stuff that it makes me uncomfortable.
Take it off the shelf for a moment.
Yeah, listen, I'll put it back up on the shelf of disbelief sometime. But if you take it off, there's a lot that's just like it's a bunch of red flags. This movie would not be made in the same way today.
I mean, they remade it, but they flipped the genders.
Who was in this movie?
Anna
I
Faris.
don't know who the guy was, but Anna Faris
Okay,
is
well-
Kurt Russell. She's Kurt Russell's character.
Okay, that's terrible. It's also weird that Anna Faris and Chris Pratt have more connection than just being married. They both done essentially Chris Pratt or Kurt Russell roles, but
Yeah.
Anna Faris is not on the same level as Kurt Russell. They remade it. They didn't make it with high. Like imagine if Chris Pratt was in that movie today. He wouldn't be like, oh, let me sleep with this random girl that has amnesia I built a shelf for.
I mean, it's weird.
A closet. Luke has me thinking about shelves.
The shelf. We cut back to Grant still partying and being a serial killer, lying to Goldie Hawn's mom.
And her dog.
Yeah.
And
Goldie
then,
Hawn's mom, who is 19th century English royalty.
honestly.
She's the mom from the Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas.
Is that where I recognized her from?
Oh no, I think that might be her, but that's the strong vibes I was getting. Like every person, every prim lady needs to have a mom that's just the worst and has that. Let me see if it's the same lady.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to look up her filmography.
All right, I'll look up Viva Rock Vegas.
She's in the Cars movies.
Ugh.
She's the voice of Lizzie.
I don't know that one.
The old lady crazy car who's like, I knew the founder of... I hate that I know Cars lore.
What's her name?
The actress looks like it's Catherine Helmond. She died last year.
Joan Collins is, she plays Pearl Slaghoople.
Did we talk about the pitch meeting yet? Sink 'em and drink 'em. Also a cool mini golf idea.
I like that one
yeah.
way more now.
I mean, it's a fun name. It's probably a college-sponsored event somewhere. Annie finds her old panties and sees the JS. And so Dean tells her the truth. And then Billy lies again because this movie still needs 40 more minutes of runtime.
Well, the
Hey,
kids
man.
lie too.
Yeah.
They're like,
The
no.
kids do too.
Can't put it all on Billy.
I like the kids, though. And Billy has the line,
I know you like Pee-Wee Herman Kid, but you like all the kids.
they're more fun.
You like
but
the
Joey's
actor
the
kid?
best one.
You like the actor kid?
I don't know anything about him to like him or dislike him.
Okay.
He
well,
is a complete neutral.
I don't like him just because there's nothing about him.
So Billy lies saying that it's from a hookup that he had, to which he says the line, Annie, I'm sorry. I got horny. Do you hate me? Which...
Is the title of my memoirs.
I got horny. Do you hate me?
Yeah.
The mini golf course opens up, and it's cool. And then I paused the movie to listen to the new Weezer song. It's a pretty good Weezer song. Then I listened to a couple more Weezer songs. I didn't want to watch the rest of this movie.
At the opening ceremony, it's confirmed that the whole town is in on this scheme. Or at least they're all... Or
Yeah,
Kurt
no,
Russell
you're
has
right.
bamboozled them all.
I mean, I'd believe what I would believe what Kurt Russell sells. Like, he'd make a good Harold Hill in The Music Man. Because he's so
I
charming.
agree.
That person who laughed at the Les Mis joke, they're just
back.
they're loving this.
I made a Rent joke.
Oh, Rent joke. Look, it's all me. I'm a musical fan. I don't know Les Mis. I don't know Rent, and I don't know The Music Man.
All right.
I guess I'm not a musical fan. Apparently.
It was very funny for Joannie to recognize Grant. She just walks by and goes, "Hi, Grant, I'm going to put these flowers in the vase."
Yeah.
And goes inside, and there's a good beat before she's like, "Oh my God, I remember everything." Like, that made me laugh, which was a surprise. I felt it escape my body. I was like, "Oh, the hell was that?"
This was another episode of weird camera close-ups with Luke in this scene. Because they right after, like, she's realized everything and she's gone to leave and she's said, like, what the fuck, Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell turns to her and he's like, well, you know, for what it's worth, thank you for everything. And then they do, like, camera pan up on him, camera pan up on her, camera pan up on the butler's face.
I think it's to show you, like, he's realizing she might have changed, maybe.
His face does not display that.
Okay, well, I don't know, man. I'm trying to help out Gary Marshall.
It wouldn't be an episode if I didn't find something.
It's true. If you didn't do one tiny thing and be like, So Joanna goes back with Grant, but then realizes she's not happy. And at the same time, the kids and Kurt Russell go and get her. So they get a Coast Guard boat to bust out Joanna.
To misappropriate
and-
government funds.
Yeah. They do 3 honks which means love because Kurt Russell told her a whole mythology story that I think I fell asleep for.
Oh, you mean Arturo and Catalina, or is Arturo and someone?
It's Arturo. I don't think it's Catalina because that's the fucking wine mixer, baby.
Whoa. Two things can have more than one name. Like, there can be, there are other Connors in the world. It's not just, oh, that's the Burke. Sorry.
Just the one. I'm sure it exists.
Joey goes over the radio and in his Pee-Wee Herman voice says, "Stop this boat immediately and let me have my mom," which makes the French chefs go, "Oh, it's Pee-Wee Herman."
Yeah.
which got me good.
I did laugh at that as well.
And the Coast Guard has to turn around to go after salmon poachers. How are you a poacher of salmon? Isn't that just a regular fisherman?
I'm gonna be honest with
we
you.
eat
I
salmon.
don't know.
Wouldn't it be like if you don't have a permit to fish in certain waters?
I guess that's it, yeah.
Plus, the
Specifically
Pacific
in
Northwest
relation to
salmon,
salmon.
pretty good.
And they reunite. Grant almost kills his wife with a bow and arrow, but Andrew pushes him over the edge, and all the money is hers and Kurt Russell's. Kiss the end. Cue my boy, my friend, Randy Newman.
I couldn't hit close on the browser quick enough.
I wanted to hear some of the song because Randy Newman's voice it's just a nice, calming nonsense. Like,
It was the payoff I'd been waiting for the whole time.
He wrote a song called Short People. And it's just about how short people are short.
Well, it was an allegory.
It's great, though.
I know. Oh, it's a beautiful song. He's the most confusing man I've ever heard of, but I love him.
So that's Overboard from 1987. And now we're going to do the criteria part of our podcast where we compare it and see if it's better, worse, or just as good as The Pacifier. The first part of the criteria is, how's the soundtrack?
The soundtrack is 3 songs.
It's like
The
G-Force.
banjo, the Can't Help Falling in Love cover in the bar, and the Randy Newman song. And
Oh,
they're not, none of those are bad. But
Did you
like,
forget
it's not
about
enough.
Did you forget about Jim Dandy to the Rescue? They sang Jim Dandy to the Rescue a few times. I don't know
4
what it
songs.
is. I don't know what it is, but the chorus goes Jim Dandy to the rescue.
That's true. You're right.
Look, when the movie started, I was like, okay, a little bit of synth. This is a very 80s movie. Then it was synth banjo. I was all for it. When they kept playing that song through every chance.
Same one.
Silvestri, that was the easiest money he's ever made. I think he wrote one song. They asked him for more. He said, "Will you pay me more?" They said no. And he couldn't get them to get amnesia and work off their debt. So what he did was just write one song, and they just rolled with it.
I called it the shenanigans riff. Where does the main actor land on the dieselometer? In case you don't know, it's ranking via the performance, either how good or how charming they are compared to Vin Diesel, star of The Pacifier. Kurt Russell's good in this. He's charming. He's charming like he's being... I put it's like Vin doing interviews where he's charming.
I also said a Vin interview. I said this specifically, the one where he can't stop hitting on the woman who's interviewing him.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Oh my God. It goes on for like 15 or 20 minutes. And it's just like, she's asking him questions and he's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm making a movie. Can I tell you how beautiful you are? And she's like, and then she asks the next question.
Very much like this movie.
Yeah, that's very similar to this.
Look, I hated the character that Kurt Russell was playing, but he's so charming, it's hard to actually hate him. So, like, I don't
Props to
know. I
him.
mean, he's a bad guy. He did a lot of bad things, but the whole time, I'm like, all right, Kurt, you got me here. Dean.
I'm hooked.
Your charm puts you on the shelf.
Yep, you're right up on that shelf. You, the premise of this movie, Goldie Hawn so far, and the eggs that have no container.
I am baffled that the eggs never fell off the shelf.
I mean, they had to do multiple takes. It is a movie.
And then that means that it was somebody's choice. That somebody in the props department was setting up the fridge, and they were like, wait a minute, put 12 eggs up there on the shelf, on the door of the fridge. I'm not over it.
I really want you to meet Kurt Russell one day, and he's like, you can ask me one question, and instead of like, can I be in a movie or tell me
What's with
about
those fucking eggs?
what's going on with the eggs, guy? So, Overboard?
Like, I honestly don't remember.
Did I like it as a child, or would I have liked it as a child? I didn't watch it until I think I half watched it once while doing essays in college. But I probably would not have liked this as a kid. I probably would have gotten bored.
It was on TV a lot. I had seen this as a kid. I did like it a lot as a kid. I think that's not a terrible lens to look at it through, because once you are a fully formed person, there's a lot of feelings of right and wrong that get in the way of the way that you're looking at it.
It was too boring for. I don't think I'd even heard of this when Connor told me about it. I went, I don't think I know this movie.
For some reason, I remember you bringing it up in conversation and being really excited about it. I might be getting you confused with someone else, but
Maybe you were thinking about Mannequin or the movie Splash, other very odd comedy drama or romance movies. But I had never seen this movie, and I would have hated it as a kid just because it was very slow. There's not a lot of like slapsticky comedy. I wasn't a sophisticated kid. I just wanted a movie that would make me laugh, and there were too many sex jokes. I would have been like a 6-year-old being like, I don't know what. Okay, the kid thinks that his mom has a nice butt, and she's okay with that. I don't understand that.
that's weird. What has the director gone on to do? So Gary Marshall's basically rom-com royalty. He died in 2016. But it was funny you brought up Princess Diaries because he directed both of them.
Okay.
And he also did Pretty Woman.
That was his peak. I think we can agree that was the best movie he did. I don't know the movies before this one. I only looked at the filmography from 1987 on.
Yeah, I like the Princess Diaries.
Well, okay.
I like them a lot.
But Princess Diaries or Pretty Woman's classic. But he ended with Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve.
And Mother's Day.
What?
Was there
Mother's
another one?
Day?
Yeah, Mother's Day was his last movie in 2016.
Did you watch that?
I didn't see that
either
one.
of you seen that movie? I didn't know it existed.
I've never seen any of them.
Is it just like a bunch of unrelated mothers all coming together on the same day?
I genuinely think so, but let's look at IMDb.
I saw New Year's Eve and Valentine's Day.
Oh, they were
And
bad. They're
yeah.
really bad.
It was in that era of really trying to catch the fire that was Love Actually. But like that movie shouldn't have been good, shouldn't have been successful. So there was no reason to try and replicate it. Like it was good against all odds. Like, I don't know. But
3 generations come together in the week leading up to Mother's Day.
Like of the same family or just 3 separate generations?
That's all the byline said. It's got Jennifer Aniston, Timothy Olyphant.
I had a movie picked out for you guys to watch next, but it may have to be Mother's Day now.
Please don't. All right, next was anything as memorable as the Peter Panda dance? The mini golf course?
that fat banjo riff.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, the shenanigan riff.
Only because I had mini golf in another place.
I don't know. The Peter Panda dance is. I haven't seen The Pacifier in years, and I still remember a lot of the Peter Panda dance.
Yeah.
Good. Who's the Brad Garrett of the film? The memorable, weird side character? It's Joey.
Absolutely.
It's gotta be Joey.
I'd throw my hand in for the potentially offensive Portuguese garbage man. And he kept saying, words that you can't say on TV. That made me laugh a lot. I was like, this is pretty good. I hope he's in more of this, but he wasn't.
I watched this like a few hours ago, and I completely forgot about that scene.
Well, I wrote it down. Originally, It was the chef with the mustache. That was my first guy I saw, and I went, memorable, and he didn't show up ever again. And I went, oh, I guess not memorable, but I like him.
Well, I wouldn't have like remember the garbage guy as much, except for because I was watching it on Amazon. Every time you go into a new scene, it pops up all the actors and like what else
Oh,
they've
the
been in.
X-ray or whatever.
Yeah. So he popped up and I was like, holy shit, that is him. That's the guy from Princess Diaries. And then he was just Portuguese garbage man saying fuck over and over and over again.
What guy in Princess Diaries is he?
The one who ends up with the queen.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, he worked his way up,
Yeah.
being a modest garbage man.
Is there any subplot as batshit insane as the Nazi subplot, which, in case you forgot, there is a one scene subplot in The Pacifier in which, excuse me, they believe that the boy is a Nazi, but it turns out he's just doing the Sound of Music playing Rolf. I said, I don't think there's anything that batshit insane besides the fact that Grant is probably a serial killer.
I said how much mini golf is discussed, how much mini golf is a thing, how pivotal of a role in their lives mini golf has.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Put that too. It just, you could have taken mini golf out of the movie, and it
would
the
have
same
been-
movie.
It would have been 25 minutes shorter, and it would have been a good runtime.
Yeah, not a good movie still, but would have made more sense.
Yeah. All right. So, Luke, what was your ranking or rating of the film?
I rated this movie a hose fight in the house because
Elaborate.
while it's problematic and potentially dangerous, it's a lot of fun.
Okay. I gave it 5 out of 11 mullets.
I see you've come over to the dark side of
I
nonsense
have.
rating.
Yeah. It was not as good as The Pacifier. It's worse.
I don't think it's as good.
Do you have a rating for it, Nick?
Yeah, I have it somewhere between panties in a glove compartment and 12 loose eggs on a shelf, meaning you're not happy that it's there, but you're fine with it being there.
All right. And that is our discussion on Overboard. I kind of am excited to not watch this movie either again or for a long time.
I mean, I still got 2 days left on the rental. I might watch it again.
Of course.
Point out more loose eggs.
So, you ready to play Coming Attractions?
Yep.
Yes.
So, the Coming Attractions game is our guest, Nick, has selected a film for us, and it's going to be the focus for our next episode with probably a new guest. He's going to give us some hints, and Luke and I are going to try and guess what film it is.
Okay. Can I first tell you what my process was here? Because I ran through a lot of movies that I decided not to use.
Sure.
Okay. So initially I wanted to do that that movie In Time with Justin Timberlake, where instead of having human life, you have hours and you pay with the hours instead of having money, and it's bad. Then I was thinking, no, let's get something more funny. I think, because you guys are comedians here, let's something good. And then I was like, oh, Christmas with the Cranks, but that movie is universally hated, I think.
Yeah.
I told Connor I had my choice, and I actually changed it over the last 20 minutes. So it was going to be Employee of the Month.
You said the forgotten comedian thing in the beginning of the episode, and I was like, oh shit, it's the Dane Cook, Jessica Simpson Walmart movie.
Yep, with Dax Shepard. I've recently, thanks to Connor, got into The Good Place, and it was a nice welcome to see Dax Shepard in the toxic masculinity department. Great show, highly recommend. Anyway, so I narrowed it down to 2 90s comedies, but I'm going to tell you the runner-up was 3 Ninjas, High Noon at Mega Mountain,
Oh, a sequel.
Not even the original.
starring Hulk Hogan. And also honorable mention was Billy Toppet, but you can't get Billy Toppet for free anywhere.
I don't think I've ever heard of Billy Toppet.
I haven't either.
Lance Burton is a magician, and he made a movie about a magician who gets in with the mob, And I only know about it because of the podcast The Ride. They talked about it quite a bit. But I watched the preview for it, and instead of any plot in the trailer, it's just him doing magic and music that's going da 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 da. It's bad. So I didn't want to put you through that. So my movie, the first hint is that it is a classic Rick Moranis movie.
Is it Little Giants?
Ah, dang it, yes.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad I got it that quick.
I saw someone talking about the kid from Casper, and I went, wait a minute, I know the kid from Casper. He's been other places, and I'm pretty sure he's Junior, the quarterback. And I think that movie would be a lot of fun to watch and kind of analyze how ridiculous parts of it are.
All right, I'm into it.
Yeah, I have not seen that movie in a very long time.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I think my neighbors tried to get me to watch it with them once, and I was like, that's the Giants. We're an Eagles family, sir.
I could also be wrong. Like, it's been that long that it could have been another kid football movie.
I mean, they do exist.
Did it have a girl tackling a guy while wearing a cheerleader skirt?
That sounds familiar.
Look, I know the whole plot. I know the whole plot by heart. I've seen this movie so many times. I liked Ed O'Neill before. I didn't even realize that it was him because I had never seen Married with Children. I think I was too young to really watch that. And then watching Modern Family, I was like, that's a Little Giants guy.
All right, well, next week, me, Luke, and probably a guest are going to talk Little Giants. Thank you very much for being on, Nick. It was great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was actually not actually. This was a blast. I expected to have fun, but I had more fun.
Much to my surprise.
Listen, I thought I was going to hate it.
All right, well, that's it. And for No Highway Option, I've been Connor.
I've been Luke.
And these have been all of our opinions. And if you didn't like it, too bad, because it's our way.
No highway option.
Highway option.
Put it on a shelf.